We have the next panel discussion, and this is on digital transformation roadmap for how PSUs are looking at embracing emerging technologies. And for this, it's my pleasure to call on stage Mr. Manoj Tandon, Director Project O&M, Railtel Corporation. Mr. Rajagopal A, Chief General Manager, IT Food Corporation, FCI. Gautam Kumar, DDG and CGM IT, BBNL. Vidyasagar Singh, Senior GM, SG and Head Digital Services, NSIC. Rishi Raj, Deputy Manager, IPM, Industry Sector, BHEL. And from the industry perspective, Mr. Harish Menon, CEO of ACOPS. This panel poses a different challenge. This is the last panel of the day. So maybe a rapid fire mode will be more pertinent. And when I will start with Manoj. When you're talking about now emerging technologies is a very vague and broad kind of thing. What are emerging? Emerging technologies can be AI, ML, virtual reality, augmented reality, IoT. So many things can be under emerging technologies or blockchain. So my question to Manoj, and I'd like to put that question to almost all the panelists. We may call it new gen, newer technologies. One, how are the PSUs looking at deploying these new technologies, and more importantly, where do you expect these technologies will help in enhancing or optimizing the productivity of these organizations? Manoj.
Thank you. Good evening to everybody. I think the challenge starts from mind and the enablement starts in the mind. So the mind is still the biggest enabler as well as the biggest blocker. As you mentioned that emerging technologies has a very vast canvas, and you really can't define the emerging technology in terms of words today. The word was never so chaotic what we are seeing today. The life cycle of every technology, every solution is shortening with new technologies coming in. 5G came just few months back, and now we are talking about 6G. So the keeping pace with the technology is one challenge. But we technology providers or solution providers look more from the business pain points or business ask instead of technology, because technology is just an overlay. How do you enable your stakeholders, your customer touch points, your internal stakeholders? That's the question. So automation people always focus more on the solutions as well as compared to technologies. Coming to PSU environment. In fact, PSU environment requires the technology or solutions. There's no change between private and PSU as far as the digitization program is concerned. Both are equally challenging. Both require productivity. In fact, PSU requires more of such automation because of heavy processor, because of legacy mindset issues in the working culture. So we require more of such automation, and it is very difficult to now define the boundaries of digital transformation. I define transformation is only a journey, and we really cannot define because the goalposts are changing quite often. Just to give you in layman terms, the contact center solution, help desk solution, has evolved in last few years from simple voice to now people are talking about replacing human with bots alone. It has gone from various stages. We have seen in last few years only, not much time back. So the journey is continuing still, and we don't know what is going to come tomorrow. On the adoption perspective, internally we have adopted a lot of technologies, be it as business flows, accounting practices on ERP, or automation of our own office workflows on e-office. In fact, we have done the e-office deployment for Indian Railways, which is the biggest deployment of paperless office in India. We are also doing some interesting projects with our customers. One interesting project is that the municipal, I'll not name the customer, but it's a municipal customer, and they want to geofence their working staff, but they are not sure whether they are reporting or not, whether they are remaining in their boundaries during the working hours or not. So they are going to wear the devices with the GPS, and it's a real-time tracking of those working staff on the dashboards, and it will actually give report whether that person was on duty in those time or not, because we have often heard about hosts getting changed. So there are ghost employees and there are actual employees.
Great.
Similarly, we are doing some trial with Indian Railways for predictive maintenance, wherein interestingly we are going to capture the frequencies which are generated by the train movement on the tracks, on the dark fiber, which is owned by us, and training those frequencies, learning those frequencies. We want to declare whether any untoward incident can happen in future. Although it's a long journey because you need to train data which has never been heard in last so many years.
Okay.
But ruptures, train fractures, those things are those things sound very interesting. And since railway is expanding their network very fast, as well as there is a lot of pressure on the cost optimization from manpower perspective and manpower productive perspective also. So I strongly believe, and we strongly believe, that automation based on the new age technologies is going to help a lot.
Sure.
Thank you.
So some excellent examples you illustrated. The e-office, the paperless office, then the predictive maintenance, and most interesting, the geofencing of the workforce. And one important thing you mentioned, that digital transformation is a journey and there are no boundaries to that. Mr. Rajagopal, my question is, we talk about these new gen technologies, whether they are emerging and already emerged. Let's not get into that debate. But in a PSU ecosystem, when you are adopting these new gen technologies, what are the challenges that you face?
Good evening. As you rightly said at the beginning, like new gen technology is a very generic kind of term, so many things can be fitted into it. So I will talk from my personal experience. Basically, in our organization, we are looking at 3 new gen technologies in a big way. 2, I would say, we have implemented or in the process of implementation. 1 is futuristic. First is AI/ML. What we have done is we have implemented AI in a sufficiently large scale in our procurement system, like grain quality assessment, which used to happen earlier manually. Now we have developed AI-based machines which will do the quality assessment for us. So since it's based on ML, the machine keep learning, and that human discretion part we have been able to eliminate from the system. So the challenges naturally we face was a lot of resistance. The resistance to change was very strong. So that's from an implementation point of view. The development of the technology itself, it took a lot of time, because one challenge what we are facing in these kind of things, if you want to develop a machine based on AI or machine learning, the training time, training the system, that's a very, sometimes it takes very long time, because in our system, like where we have complex, very complex situations, like grain quality parameters vary from state to state, varieties are different. So the constraints or the complexities are very huge. So it took a lot of time for us to train the machines and reach certain level of accuracy, which was acceptable for the system. So that was one challenge we faced. The other technology which we have been using or we have implemented is IoT-based sensors and IoT systems in weighbridges, where the weighbridge data is getting passed on to our ERP system through the IoT technologies. So these, there also, that was not a very big challenge. The sensors part is still, it's an evolving thing. Like we are trying to put IoT-based sensors in our warehouses to assess the humidity levels, temperature, and these kind of things. So it will give us, without actually, which will help us to do the predictive analysis of the grain quality, how it will remain, and things like that. The third technology which we are looking at, which we are yet to do, but most probably will be taking up in our next, when we expand our supply chain system, is blockchains.
Okay.
How we can use blockchain technologies and the solutions available to strengthen our supply chain systems.
Okay.
This is what we are looking at.
So, AI, using effectively AI, IoT, the sensors deployment and blockchain. Maybe just one thing I'd like to ask. This was even earlier during the day. In a panel, we talked about the culture, especially in a PSU, where there's a lot of legacy, both in terms of equipment as well as a manpower. And in an organization like FCI, obviously there is a lot of legacy. At the initial thing you talked about when you are deploying AI, that sort of cultural mindset of organizations, how big is that challenge?
It's
Very
huge.
briefly.
I would say the change management is the biggest part in it. More than the
Okay.
technology part, the change management. Because we have to onboard people and sell your ideas to them, saying that this is a better way of doing things. In public systems, many vested interests are involved. Lot of all kind of interest groups will be there. So to navigate these kind of labyrinth kind of situation and to get these things implemented is a real challenge. I would say the technology is available. How you get it implemented,
Exactly.
that becomes
The change management is a major challenge. Gautam Kumar, I'll come to you next. And you are coming from an organization where technology is the core business, if I may say. So I'll put that in a little different perspective. When we are talking about emerging technology, if you can illustrate what sort of these new age technologies that have already been deployed, and briefly if you can give us the use cases for these.
Thank you, Rajnish. I'm from the telecom domain, so I will have to speak about the adaptation of these new technologies, AI and ML. Recently, you have heard and you have read in the newspapers that the Department of Telecom has used AI tools to identify the duplicate SIM cards which are being or which were being used or potential being used for cyber frauds. So there are cases in the various states of Maharashtra. So these are the issues that is being faced by the PSUs also, and the ministry being in the monitoring stage. These tools are being used very widely. So this is one of the examples of the use cases.
Okay, thanks. Vidyasagar Singh, from an NSIC perspective, how have you looked at adopting newer technologies? And if I may put the same thing, what are the use cases for that?
Good evening, everyone, and thank you, APAC and Rajesh for giving this opportunity. So I think many of you or most of you may know that NSIC is a service organization. So we are not into manufacturing or that per se. And our objective and goal is to help MSME grow. So in that context, you would be really surprised to know, I would say, that we are using into all these emerging technologies we are using for helping MSME. And the endeavor is to enable these MSMEs to adopt these emerging technologies. And in fact, multiple initiatives have been taken from the Government of India side, our ministry side, and the NSIC side. So some of them I would like to highlight. So the starting from say adoption of in fact e-commerce, that itself is a quite a big area for MSMEs, helping them grow their business. And you may have been hearing a lot of news on that front, that MSMEs are not the penetration of e-com, only the few big players are taking all the benefit. So recently, just a few months back, Government of India MSME Ministry have come up with a scheme for adoption of e-commerce platform by micro enterprises. And when we say micro, means within the MSME, 96% of MSMEs are micro, as per the Udyam database. So that number is huge. The total as of today, the Udyam database is 1.6 crore. And out of that, almost 1.4, 1.5 crore are micro. So to help those micro take those benefit for market access, increasing their market through the e-commerce platform, the government have come up with the providing 75% subsidy for adopting these e-commerce practices, for cataloging, for contingency expenses like advertising on those portals. And this have been given to NSIC as an implementing agency. So we already have a B2B portal, msmemart.com. So we are helping those MSME join this portal and make them more visible and discoverable. So because we know that there are great artisans across India, or maybe MSME, they are great in creating great products, but somehow they are not known. I mean, they are not known even to the probably their state level or district level. Forget about national or global market. So that's where we are trying to help them to become more visible and discoverable through this power of internet and power of e-commerce, so that the potential and their business opportunities grows. So there are multiple initiative under that also. So this subsidy will be helping a micro, and in fact you won't believe that just in the probably 4 months, more than 2,500 beneficiaries have been enrolled on that portal under this subsidy support system. This is one. The second part is, of course, like any other PSUs, we are using e-office and all those things are taken care. We have multiple hundreds of offices across India. All of them are connected. All of them are using cloud, accounting software or e-offices or other portals. The second most important part is about skilling part and maybe entrepreneurship part, in these emerging technologies. So we NSIC have NSIC Technical Service Center, 8, 9 technical service centers, and they are huge huge campus. One of them is flagship in is Okla. So where recently, Samsung have collaborated us for, and we have opened an innovation lab. So where we are giving training on AI, advanced AI only for engineers, and that's in collaboration with Samsung. The second one is recently LG have collaborated with us, and they have established first center of excellence in electronics, along with the the center of the Electronic Sector Skill Council. And so we are imparting entrepreneurs as well as the students who want to set up and go for those areas. We are training them. Philips is just signed debut. So these are few initiatives where we are helping MSMEs in all possible sectors. Industry 4, just 1 minute. So Industry 4, we are training MSMEs in all the component of Industry 4. AI, AR, VR, robotics, 3D printing, we have all the machinery installed. Live on the job training is being given.
So that's very interesting. The way, unlike other PSUs, you are sort of providing hands-on this training to the MSMEs. So just one, very briefly, if you can mention this would require a lot of analytics from you, because you are sort of ultimately deriving a pattern of usage amongst these micro and small and medium enterprises. So how are you leveraging for your own purposes to derive the pattern through AI?
There are two things. One is that, of course, as of now, we are in the process, because in fact, all our 8 and 9 centers are in that particular training and component part. They all are working in silos, but we have already initiated a process of, syncing all of them. The other important is that we have, as a part of the MSME ministry, we have integrated our MSME Mart portal with the Udyam portal, which, and we are getting all that data and, analyzing that, which sector, which state-wise, what is the, situation of the, as per the 6th census, what is the MSMEs enrolled, and whether manufacturing services, and we are, in bits and parts using that, analytics tools.
Okay, thanks. So Rishi Raj from Bhel, one of the largest manufacturing PSUs. So from that perspective, what sort of new age technologies you have already used or you are on the verge of using?
Sure. So, greetings everyone. So, new age technology, the first and most important, that in capital goods, sir was just taking the example of Industry 4.0. So, now the differentiation between a service based company and a product based company had actually diminished now. So BHEL, in line with what other capital goods important players are doing, we are relying heavily on analytics now. So predictive maintenance has become one of our major focus areas, and we have very recently launched a service called Remote Monitoring and Diagnostic System. So presently, what we have done is that we have implemented it in the power plants. You might be aware that BHEL is presently 55, more than 60% of the installed power generation capacity is from BHEL. So what we are doing right now is implementing this RMDS solution in these power plants, which provides basically predictive maintenance. So embedding sensors in all the important components of a power plant, so that we get to understand that what is the condition of the equipment which is running there. And we have integrated the same with our spares and service business group, so that whenever a component is going to fail, they get an indication on the dashboard that in this particular power plant, this component is going to fail. And we start the whatever action is required to be taken. So this is one very important product offering which we have launched in the market. Right now it is for power plants. We are doing it similarly for the oil and gas refineries as well.
Okay.
So this is one. And Industry 4.0, because we are a manufacturing enterprise. So with that point of view, we have taken actions in 3D printing. So
Okay.
some equipment which require very high precision, we are going for 3D printing of those items.
Great. Thanks. So again, you illustrated some very interesting aspects where maybe sometimes we don't realize that these are areas also that are being worked upon. Harish Menon, now from the industry perspective, you heard all of them talking about. So as a solution provider, and especially when to different I'd say different levels. Each organization is on its own maturity level. So when you're talking about emerging technologies being adopted, that also would vary from organization to organization. But as a thumb rule, what would your recommendation be as far as best practices when some of these new gen technologies are being adopted by PSUs?
So good evening, everyone. Before talking about technology and tools, I think at ACOPS we associate more with customer priorities, and I'll talk a bit about customer priorities first. When we cut across, verticals, whether it is government, public sector, or the commercial segment, across all industries, we pick up, a few priorities from customers based on which I would say at least ACOPS, we align our strategy towards the customer's priorities. Now, what are these customer priorities which we are picking up? First and foremost is, today data has become a very important talking point. Data is sovereign. So data security and data residency is, I think, heart and central in most of our conversations. Second is, staying compliant with the regulatory framework. We've seen that across most customer conversations that, everybody's wanting to stay compliant with what the regulator advises, what the policymaker advises. Number three, we are looking at technology as a business differentiator. No more would technology be used as an investment. Today, technology is being used. I heard my other eminent panelists talking about usage of blockchain, AI, IoT. So this is being, used to bring in differentiation and to make, business more profitable. We are also looking at, customers are talking about getting more from their existing technology investments. So these are, some of the priorities we are coming across as an industry partner to customers across all verticals. Number two is, as a vendor, how do we make sure that we are able to meet some of these priorities? I think we work as ACOPs, work with our partners who are telcos, partners who are MSPs and distributors, to make sure that the requirements in any of these priorities is right sized and catered to using a mix of tools, processes, and services. So no matter what technology you're talking about, I would say that it will always be a mix of tools, right skills from partners or services from partners, and that's the way at least we are seeing big adoption happening for technology and tools across all industries.
Okay, so one of the keywords I would say that you mentioned is right sizing. Yes, that's very critical. So I'll go to one last round with all the panelists, starting with Manoj again, and 30 seconds to each panelist. In terms of a little bit crystal gazing into the future, especially for PSUs, what's the road ahead in terms of new age technologies and more? Where do you see will be the main outposts or milestones in that journey forward for PSUs? Manoj.
As I mentioned earlier, is that in this fast goalpost changing environment, it's difficult to define the end point at this stage. But as you mentioned, that milestones need to be defined. So the milestones, if I talk about automation journey, so it actually varies into different areas. In financials, it's different. It's in operations, it's different. But if I talk about operations and especially the SOC environment, security environment, the techniques in terms of AI ML is actually going to be very, very useful in the security as well as the track maintenance from railways perspective, because that's going to give a lot of mileage to us in terms of productivity and time to respond to a situation. In operations, because we run nationwide network operations, so it's going to give us edge in terms of the time to repair as well as the cost efficiency and agility from operations to respond to failures. In finances, it's actually going to give a lot of mileage in terms of the pilferages happening, the leakages which are happening. So it varies from area to area. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Rajagopal. Yes.
Yeah, as I mentioned, the emerging technologies, what we are focusing, we have already identified and working on. But more than that, on that, what I would say, like wherever we have initiated, we will have to take it to maturity, and wherever we are initiating, we have to take it forward and how best we can utilize it. But ultimately, what we are looking at or looking forward to is like we are on a digital transformation phase actually. There was a mention about the e-office implementation and all. In fact, last year we implemented e-office in 198 offices with 12,000 users, 7 months flat. We completed the implementation. So it was a big challenge. I mean, those who have implemented it know the kind of resistance which comes. So like that, every segment of our operation we are digitizing. Now the next big thing, what we are looking at or we are attempting, maybe in the next 2 months, we will be starting the process, is that how we can leverage on this data.
Okay.
So much of data is being created. We are thinking of creating a data lake and develop a proper analytic platform, which will give with proper dashboarding, and it will be enabling us for better decision making. So that is the next big thing which will be taking up along with this.
And that gives us a scope for a news also. That's very interesting. Gautam.
Yeah, in our telecom domain, I must say that these new technology will be definitely in a contributing in a big way in future. Perhaps you all know about the convergence of all the PSUs into one, like BPNL has been merged into BSNL. So all those network of different PSUs, I find that these new technology will be able to manage their network into one entity, and they work seamlessly on the entire nation and will be able to provide services to their customers everywhere. Similarly, with the downsizing of these PSUs and shortage of the manpower, this new technology will be able to provide the automation and make the system more efficient.
Okay,
That's
thanks. Vidyasagar, yeah.
So I would say that all of us are, doing our best in terms of implementing and adopting those technologies. But if we can together create an ecosystem, and including this event, like APAC, which you have organized, to create awareness and ecosystem, developing to ecosystem, then I think the adoption of these technology will be much faster. At much large scale level. In fact, in that context, I would say that all your the tech service provider, or all those companies, or even PSUs, we must collaborate, to help MSMEs become more digitized to achieve that $1 trillion digital economy which government is talking about. And probably that would be the real success of India and as a country as a whole.
Very interesting in that this creating this whole ecosystem idea. Rishi.
So I would like to divide it into two parts. First is the medium term or the immediate. I see extensive use of data analytics, not only in the typical finance, procurement type of functions, but also using data extensively in the HR roles, in the talent management, in the performance appraisal, in the succession planning, by use of data centers, etc. And in the long term, what I'd see is where we cease to be again a company which is more of manufacturing focused. All of us, the digital first, that takes prominence, and the use of smart factories, the robotics, the use of robotics in the project execution, that becomes a prominent feature of all our endeavors. So this is it.
Thanks. Harish, you have the last word.
So I'll talk about two things which I think are the big bets we are looking at. Technology is going to become more increasingly conversational. That's something which we are observing. Each one of us is aware of what's happening all around us with Google and Microsoft doing big bets in that space. Second would be how technology will become more and more federated between proprietary systems and non-proprietary systems. So those are two big bets as we look at it. Behind all these, experiences, there would be technology which keeps transforming itself. AI was not there 10 years back, or it was there in some shape and form. Then in the World Economic Forum, say 8 years back, AI became mainstream topic, and then everybody started tracking AI. So I think technology will continue to transform itself. There will be new things which come out, but our big bets would be conversational technology and data, getting interoperable between proprietary and non-proprietary systems.
Thanks. Great. Though a lot of the technologies that we talked about in this panel are already being deployed, and we also heard interesting, not only already deployed use cases, but the future, and they really sounded very exciting, especially coming from a lot of the public sector undertakings, while the general impression that they are slow in adopting technology, but we really heard the future looks bright in that aspect. Before we conclude this discussion, I would request Shivani if you can hand over a token of appreciation to all the panelists. Mr. Rajagopal, Mr. Gautam Kumar, Mr. Vidyasagar Singh, Mr. Rishi Raj, Mr. Harish Menon, request